because that will bolster your application. So I would highly recommend take GRE. It will bolster your application. It's an important thing. Don't skip it. If you don't score good, anyways, okay. If the university doesn't require GRE, that's fine. Then you can't. Then you won't submit it. But then, if you're applying to 8 universities, I'm certain there will be 5 universities which will need GRE score. Then there's a question that should I take TOEFL or IELTS? What will be preferable? Everything is fine. That's it. If you're taking TOEFL, if you're taking IELTS, that's fine too. Because if you look at the university's minimum requirements, they mention what kind of TOEFL score they need and what kind of IELTS score they need. Why I'm telling you this is because there's a certain number which every university requires to see that you are capable enough to learn and understand the classes which is happening in the university. I have a list of 30 universities which I accumulated with their TOEFL and IELTS score. I can send that to you as well. So if you look at that list, it's like 80, 85, 89, which is actually not that difficult if you're already practicing for GRE. Because GRE is much difficult on the vocab part than TOEFL. What happens if you don't get into a really good university? Europe is a good option if you're going for computer science, if you're going for mechanical engineering, for example, Germany is super. For environmental engineering, Sweden and Norway is amazing because those countries are one of the most sustainable countries in the whole wide world. So explore your options and don't block an option completely. Unless it's UK, I wouldn't refer UK to that. Australia is a really good option too because the pay is really high, the PR system is easy, you can get a permanent residency easily, but then Australia is expensive. If you're getting a scholarship there, that will help you very much, but if you don't get a scholarship, I wouldn't recommend people going there because it's just so expensive. Canada is an amazing option if you're looking forward to living permanently in the country. You'll get a PR in 2 years. You're not going to spend that much, but there are only a few universities in Canada which are actually really good, like University of Waterloo or that's like in the top of my head. But still, a lot of people go to Canada for the reason of PR, and the pay is not that much as compared to US, but well, you don't have to struggle with visa language. Should I go for fall or spring semester? That prominent right now, but when you will be in 4th year, when you will be working, then you'll be thinking that should I be going for spring semester and what will be the consequences. I mentioned it in previous 2 batches as well. I wouldn't prefer spring semester myself, just because the reason I can't intern directly in the next summer. But if you're an undergrad student, then that's totally fine. Harsh is here with us. Harsh is an undergrad at UBD, and he went in the spring semester, right? Yeah. So has it affected you at all?
For me, it was the question of I think 5 more months, 8 more months sitting in home versus going in January.
Yeah, but like if you already have a graduate, if you already have your undergraduate degree, you can work. You can do an internship in those 6 months, 7 months. But since he just graduated from high school, it was
You can take summer classes, you can go out.
Exactly. And he has already done 3 internships now. Yeah, your questions now. I had these were the most prominent and most frequent questions which have been asked from first, second, third year students. That's why I put these questions. Feel free to ask any questions.
Can I just add up something?
Yeah, sure.
So for the previous question, I just want from the university education side, I want to do this again and again. I don't know how many of you all know this office. This office is called Education USA. This is the US Department of State. We provide information to students who are planning their higher studies by doing a lot of sessions like these. Just to give you a very official information about the difference between a spring and a fall semester is that the fall is a big semester in the terms of all the universities. Universities who offer all the programs. Okay? In the spring intake, they may limit the number of programs that they're offering. Okay? So for example, in fall they offer 100 programs, in spring they might only offer 20. So that's the difference. Yes, like Parth mentioned, you need to complete at least 2 semesters in the US, either do a co-op or an internship, which is called curricular practical training. So that's when, at times when you hear people saying that doing the second semester is a disadvantage. It's a disadvantage in the terms of you may not get to do the summer internship because you haven't spent 2 semesters. But that does not mean it's bad in the terms of it's not a good idea. Like someone like us took it up because he didn't want to sit at home for the next 6 months. Which makes sense because if you're going to be sitting at home and doing nothing, that is a really bad idea. A lot of times you'll be thinking that taking a gap year is a bad idea, but making most of the gap year is a good idea. Sitting at home is a bad idea. Okay?
I took a gap year, if anybody's wondering as well. I did an internship at that time. I prepared for GRE TOEFL. I applied to all these universities. And then when my internship was over, I was just spending time with my family. And nobody has asked me ever during an interview or anything that what did you do in this year, because they understand that gap year is okay. And if you have to really think what you really want to do, because masters as easy might seem to get into the industry, it's a big decision in terms of financial as well. Like you're spending so much amount of money, so you have to be sure of what you're doing. That's the reason I took it.
Option between fall and spring. Go in the fall semester. You can go, I'm not saying spring hurts. The only thing is, I went in the spring semester, there were 5 new students joining me. There were like 5 freshmen in that semester, and I was the only international student in the spring semester. Literally to meet people, because see, when you start in the fall and in grad there are a lot of students who start in the spring, but undergrad not that many do. So when you start in the fall, you'll have more people starting with you, so you'll have friends you can relate your problems with, etc., etc. So it just makes the transition process much easier. I had to literally go up to people sitting and, hey, I'm a new student here from India and I don't know anyone, and what's your name? If you can do that, that's great. I had the courage to do that for the first month, and that's how I made all my friends initially. Otherwise, you can easily get isolated there because you'll be starting with 5 other students. So like orientation, things like that just help you like bond with other students faster.
That's
Just those things.
in the fall, there will be a big orientation, there's an orientation week, etc. In the spring, it might be at a smaller scale. Yes. So the scale size varies, I should put it like that.
It's like a preference thing.
Yeah.
We can go for the fall. We get an option.
Like it will be preferable if I would get a financial aid or some kind of an assistance.
I did. Because Purdue has had an option, like specifically, that doing financial aid, you can just mention yes and then you have to submit an essay. I didn't.
You didn't submit an essay?
No, I didn't submit because I knew that to get that kind of scholarship, it's very difficult. Whereas assistantship, I can try after 1 year. But then when I chose non-thesis option, that option was eliminated by the department itself.
So asking for assistantship in SOP can lead to a rejection also.
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
Yes. When you ask for financial aid, when you ask for assistantship, and SOP is not the right space to talk about it. So a statement of purpose is basically talking about you beyond the documents that you submitted. So if you submit me your transcripts and your resume, I have a fair understanding of where you're coming from and what are your academics. When I'm looking at your statement of purpose, that's really to know of what do you really want to do, what are your plans really like, and very importantly, why the university. We all of us know Parth's example, right? To support his example, I had a student who went in fall 2017. He applied to 10 universities. At my office, we recommend students to apply to 10 universities, but with a mixed bag of ambitious, moderate and safe universities for them. Okay? This student had applied to 10. He only got into his one ambitious college and got rejects for all the others. So 9 universities he was rejected, and at one ambitious college he got into it. Okay? I am a very curious human, so I just went back to look at his SOP. I realized that his SOP for that college mentioned things like what the professors had done in the terms of which conferences that attended and what did they learn from the conferences. And when I asked him, how did you know all this? He's like, I read about their blogs. So that told the university that how interested and keen the student was because he's done that much homework on the university. And I think Parth has done the same thing. He's really written about why Purdue and etc. Like he can speak about it. I'm sure even Harsh has done that. Like the minute you tell the university that you've done your homework on them, you can't tell them like you have a big campus, you have these departments, you have etc. generic information which is on their website. Then you've not done your homework. You really need to tell them why do you like it. As simple as you have a comedy club on campus and I like it. That's my extracurricular activity of interest and I really want to come to you because you have this. And that's completely okay. At times whatever we write, talk or say may sound silly to us can be really valuable to the opposite person because that's the fact of life. When you start your statement of purpose with a quote, do you ever come up to someone and start talking in quotes? No, right? Why do you want to do that with your statement of purpose? It's not only a cliche, it's like you don't do it in your usual life. But if you tell them that I want to be a computer engineer because as a kid I got a computer as a gift, that's the truth. And that's what they really want to know. And also for a fact that in India there's nothing called plagiarism. In the US that's a very big thing and I'm sure Parth and Harsh can really talk about it.
Yeah, I had a construction law course. The law is like something which you can't really rewrite, right? So for the first 3 homeworks, the professor had a plagiarism check in the homework submission itself. So whenever I used to upload the homework, it used to be like 80% or 90% plagiarized. And we talked to the professor and he understood this problem. So every homework which we submit, it goes through a safe assign system. The name is safe assign and it runs for plagiarism. It shows exactly how much is plagiarized, what is plagiarized and what is plagiarized from where. So you have to be very careful about don't copy anybody's SOP. Picking up like getting inspired with it or picking up like ideas from it, it's totally fine, but just don't copy and submit that SOP. It can be plagiarized.
And one last thing, I don't want to leave this topic. I'm not scaring anybody, I swear I mean this. This year I had a student who applied to a university, okay? And when he applied, he submitted one of his research work saying he's done this, okay? He's got into the university, he's even got his I-20. This story is very true. I cannot name the person, but this is genuinely true. His friend wrote to the university and said that the person who submitted this work has not been done by him and his application was cancelled, even after getting an I-20. I don't know how did that kid prove it, but when he wrote to the university and said this work was not done by the student who submitted it, this is what the consequences can be, as bad as not getting an offer and being cancelled. So today when his offer is cancelled from that university, I'm sure that university can also spread a word around and can lead to as bad as not getting into any US universities. So plagiarism is it can really harm you and it can cause a big damage on your career. Okay, because he applied for visa with that university. Now I-20 getting cancelled is a very big thing. Okay, and as bad as because of submitting a research work which is not being done by you. Okay?
Haven't done any individual projects in computer science, then it doesn't show that you're so interested in it. If you haven't done any internships yet in computer science, which might have led you to this decision, it just weakens your own profile.
Yeah, I've done some certain courses which were
Electrical engineering, where they use computer science very frequently. It's a totally different field, and now you're switching to it. Just honest.
Get certificates from those. You can pay $100, I think, Coursera and websites like those. Get the certificate because that will help you prove your case. You have proof of it. Huh?
I'm currently doing ACC so I want to do a master's in computer science. What course will you get?
No, so I mean, there is like 5 million classes online about 5 million different things in computer science. No, so you search fundamentals of programming. CS50 is a good class, but you'll get to pick whatever you like on topics. So if you really don't know, if you're asking me this question, what topic I should choose, maybe you should reconsider whether I want to see it or not. You should have that question answered because that's like the base question to start in that area.
Yeah, actually, you will need to take, I think, data structure classes because data structure is
very important.
Yeah, it's compulsory for application, I guess.
Yeah.
At many universities. So questions. Yeah.
I want to apply for construction management in MS program. So I'm doubtful whether directly going after bachelor's is a drawback, or should we get experience for 2 to 3 years minimum?
Get experience.
Minimum.
Like, if you do you have internships?
Like 3 months till now.
You're in second year?
Third.
Third year. So now you're doing an internship next month as well? So, okay, you have 2 internships. Do you have any research projects along with it?
One research paper I published.
Sweet. Do you have any projects like in the final you'll do one more project, right? So that will add up. So that's good.
Diploma in civil. And I also have a project in that.
Do you have 3 years of
10 plus 3 plus 3.
So you
After
doing
that, I did my
next?
diploma. In that I did my final project, and after that, till now I have 3 internships.
What is your degree called?
Bachelor of Physics. Bachelor of Physics.
You need like
It's a BTech only. BTech आप 12th के बाद डायरेक्टली जा सकते हैं, नहीं तो 10th के बाद डिप्लोमा कीजिए, करके सेकंड ईयर में एंटर कीजिए. Is a degree.
okay. That's
This is BTech.
if you have that much internship and that research project, I would say apply because I don't have any experience before. There are so many friends of mine who don't have experience before. See, experience adds on to your profile. It gives a positive factor to your profile. When you're going in front of a person who's recruiting you, you can talk about it. They'll have to teach you less. Even though everybody goes to a training program, but they'll have to teach you less. And they know that you have worked in a professional field before. That'll be a perfect scenario. But it's fine if you want to apply after just after graduation.
Looking at the job perspective after the MS, so what do they consider, like a person having an experience, a student having experience of minimum 2 to 3 years, or a good graduate student immediately after bachelor's?
So when we used to applying for internships, like all of us, there's 2 persons with 4 plus experience. Both of them got internships in fall semester, and all of us got internships in spring semester. Why? What would be the reason? Why? Because they had experiences. They can talk more. They know how to work and how to handle people better. When you talk to so many people and work right, you get that vibe how to talk to an individual who has been working in the construction management field for so long. So you talk exactly what they want to be. Flat rates and
I have a lot of friends who have experience, and one thing I've noticed is that the more experience someone has, this is more like IT and computer science.
Yes.
The more experience someone has with SAP, the more experience someone has with MATLAB, the more they narrow themselves down that I'm going to do my master's and I only want to find a job in SAP, versus someone who just did their undergrad and goes for their grad. The difference is, while that person is more experienced, if the narrowing down happens compared, like this person is more open, so there are many more opportunities they can apply to. So ultimately that might work out well as well. So I would say there has to be an open mindset, because if you're going with a very specific skill like SAP, this configuration or something, you have 4 years of experience doing that, you have to realize the number of jobs that are required 4 years of experience in SAP configuration might be less compared to someone who can do a lot of different things and is open to different things.
So they mentioned construction management. I specifically answered for that.
Yeah,
The reason why, because it's construction management, you'll have to handle all different kind of, like, you can go into any field, like you can vary, it's not narrow. Even if you have experience, which is really good, because then you'll just be promoted to project engineer really quickly if you have experience. Because that, if you're doing a civil project, it's just related to civil, I'm not going that much. But if you're doing a civil project, then you handle a lot of things if you're working in India, which is good. So if you're planning to CM, so I'll tell you, CM is as a degree. What will happen is, like, since you're doing your dual degree and you already have this much of a background in civil, you will end up in a company as an owner representative. There are 3 types of companies: owner representative, general contractor, and subcontractors. Owner representatives are the company which, as an owner, I will hire them to look after my project. So since you'll have that business background, you will end up in that company. But whereas Manjeet, who is a senior of mine, he also he's doing construction management. He didn't have any experience. He ended up an owner representative as well. So why study that much if you will end up in a civil company? If you want to go just to a different business company, I would say do MBA rather than construction management. You're narrowing yourself down because of your civil background. Now I don't have a PhD option because I didn't choose to do research in my master's. Then it wouldn't lead me to PhD. To have an option is really good. There are certain students who are doing that, taking thesis option, but still just going for a job after their graduation. The reason being, they still have a PhD option if they want to think about it like 5 years down the line. That's all the difference is. 2 semesters for you. You'll have to do thesis 1 and thesis 2 in 1 and 2. In first semester, you'll propose your what idea you have, and then you will defend in the next semester. So that will just add up 1 more semester to your whole 2 years program. So it will be in 2 years, but I can finish in 1.5 years.
Thesis course. I'll end up in a huge load after doing this, and I will probably be going for a job to repay that money. And then I will plan to do a PhD. Is that something?
It's a bit tricky for me to say right now. I haven't seen a case like that where a student have done one thesis and then 5 years down the line they're doing PhD.
So MIS course depends. There are 2 kinds of MIS, 3 kinds of MIS course. One has a more business, more tech, or kind of a balance in between. UTDs, I don't know about the grad course. The undergrad course is more technical than business. So first thing you have to do is really look into university's course curriculum. CS is very technical in nature. What I've learned, MIS it's an application of the technology. So even though there are classes that teach you programming, there's like 2 classes that actually teach you programming compared to like 5 or 6 in CS that teach you that. So most people who do MIS do not necessarily end up as software developers. A lot of them do like business analysts and a lot of other balance between business and technology. That's why they created the MIS major. So I am in MIS, but I'm still doing software developer positions because I have self-taught myself a lot of things. So I would ask you this question: what interests you more? Programming or business side of like analyst or what?
So would it be a wrong choice if I'm not good at programming and
You're not interested in programming? So I don't know if I can say this here or not, but I'll just go ahead and say it. There is another clear advantage I see to MIS is that your CPT has to be related to your major, a class that you take at your university. With MIS, you can do my personal experience, you can do every single internship that CS grads can do, but as long as you get it. But if you get it, you can justify it for CPT. And there are so many more business internships that you can do while being MIS. Doesn't work that way. CS can do CS, but CS cannot do all the MIS internships because they do not have the right business classes. MIS is another thing. This is a drawback for some people. MIS is very broad, very, very broad. So that helps for CPT, OPT, whatever, finding jobs and proving that it's related to your major. If that's the biggest priority for you, it is. I can tell you, like, you'll be taking so many different classes that you can get so many different types of internships that you can justify when applying for those internships.
So you can totally say that. So don't worry.
I don't know.
No, you can totally, because that's the honest answer.
Yeah.
That's what should be told. So yeah.
That helps you find a job.
Yeah. So if during the elective selection, if I take a business course and I don't have a business background, will that affect me?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I took a business course at Planet. This time Planet is a business school of coding. It wasn't an issue at all because business courses are more general. Like people from different backgrounds come to business courses, so it was okay.
if it requires the background knowledge, it will probably have a prerequisite and they won't let you take the class. But does not hire international students full time, but they just have a standardized internship program. And the company was so big, they don't care for internships. But I had an option to do multiple, I had time to do multiple internships, so that was a good, I was interested in the location, etc. So I did that internship. Be very careful where you choose your internship. But from what I'm seeing nowadays, more than likely, it's not that you get 5 options and you get to choose from it. So honestly, more than likely you'll be in a situation that this company is offering you an internship and you will take it. This is very realistic.
Yeah.
It's better to have an internship than not do it.
Exactly.
So most of my seniors, I'm from IInd, most of my seniors opted for MEF side. So I was asking like, what is the difference if I have masters in a core field, like technical field, versus why would they choose someone like with an MEM degree if they could get an MBA person or someone from these technical fields? Like, what is the designation for that?
MEM is a mix of engineering and management, as the name
So,
says.
like, does it affect you the job opportunities? Would they prefer the technical people more?
Really depends upon job description. Every company, if they are putting up a job on their website, they will mention exactly what they need from that student. If they, for example, I mentioned about the owner representative thing, and if as a civil engineer I'm doing MEM, then they would prefer me because I know the business side of stuff as well. As
Do they teach you technical subjects as well?
in engineering management, yeah. So it's engineering management. There's a general engineering management. There's a mechanical engineering management, and there's one with industrial engineering management. So mechanical and industrial will teach you definitely. There will be a certain number of credits which you'll have to take related to the course, industrial and mechanical. But if it's a very general one, it's up to you what you want to take. Then, like at least for my university, the electives, the thing with electives is super. I can take a course from like dance school and that'll be fine with them.
Yeah.
How do you decide between masters in US and masters in another country or say India?
So the reason why I can go for MSc in Europe as well is the reason because there was no barrier in terms of language, and I could see myself in like growing in the US for a long time in terms of as a construction manager as well. If you're comparing to MS in India, I didn't do my undergrad in India, so I can't comment on that much. I'm sorry.
Because in US especially you require a loan and that's a big amount.
Yeah.
So that's why I was thinking that.
Yeah, see, there's everybody I know, like I was super skeptical, should I take this decision or not? The reason why I took it is because if, like, when I get a job, I won't say if, when I get a job, I can pay that off. So it is not even necessary if you don't want to stay in the US, it's your choice. Work for 3 years, come back, your experience will come. And you learn so much. You realize that like it's difficult to see it that far right now, but as soon as you go there, you will realize how huge this is and how small you are. MEM is a course where you don't require work experience. They'll prefer you, but you don't require work experience at all. MEM is like a child of MBA, I say. MBA requires work experience, but there are engineers who want to go towards management side and they don't want to, like they just want to finish off their study and then work. MEM is for them. There are a lot of students who do work for a long time and then do MEM, but it's a personal choice. If you want to do that.
Why applying for jobs? Will it help if I have some experience?
See, it will always help if you have work experience. Like I can't emphasize more on that point. It's a positive factor if you're working for a company for so long and then you're going to a company. They just like what they're gaining a talented, trained individual. They're gaining a person who has worked so long, and they're gaining all the insights from that office into their office. Who doesn't know about Gradley? Sweet. So Gradley is an initiative. Is about child by Rishabh Singh. Rishabh is a friend of mine. He's a graduate of Brown University. He's one of he's the only one who got full scholarship at Brown for undergrad, which is huge. Like in the year he was going for. He created a software, he created a program which assesses your application and gives you a university selection based on certain parameters. He did that project in MIT Research Labs when he interned last year. So Bradley is an initiative by him as a student, as a person who's helping so many. Harsh is actually, we are talking to Harsh as well, where he can get involved with Bradley. So as a student, I know how difficult it is to immigrate to a different country and how maybe like covered up we have made it, and there's so much details about it. So Bradley will help you with with every procedure, GRE prep, TOEFL prep, then university selection, university shortlisting. Then when you have all of this, then which university you already chose, then helping with your financing, your education. So he has already tied up with a couple of banks, for example, HDFC and PNB and Avance Incred, so that as a student I understand it's difficult to mix up in this and we don't understand the procedure that well. So we're creating that to help the students to have a better understanding on their financials and have a better understanding on how they are going to pay back that loan, because right now we don't care that much. We just take off a loan and ho jayega. We will have to plan it better. Health insurances, then connecting to somebody who's already studying there. So that's what Bradley is. It's, right now I'm involved. There's a friend of like Pooja, there's a girl called Pooja, she's in Colombia, she's involved with that project. There's a guy called Sagar from NEU, he's involved in that project. I don't know anyone who's there, but it's a brand of Purdue, you will get a degree of Purdue, that's the Purdue identity.
So is it comes under Purdue brand?
Well, Purdue, there's only one founder, John Purdue. So all of these is just an extension of Purdue. I would say, like, obviously, for example, VIT's main campus has more opportunities than VIT's Chennai campus, I would say. So it's similar model to that.
And how will be the University of Dayton? If you have any idea about
I have no idea.
because it's just besides in India now.
Exactly.
Accreditation changes every year. No, accreditation changes every year. Now 5 years, like 3 years back when they gave exam, the validation was also 3 years.
I get that. I didn't actually follow Marush to the role that much. I've talked about it and Marush is a really good source, but I didn't follow it to the core because I actually prepared with Jamhuri before. I wouldn't recommend you highly. If you can study by yourself, that's best. If you're like me, who can't focus that much at one thing, then you can do it. Could have happened when Shoaib, in the Shoaib's video. Okay, the reason why I would have mentioned Princeton is because that video I made, like when I make a video, it's just not my perspective. I actually call up people, actually text them and ask them, what would you recommend highly in this kind of preparation. So might have Manjeet mentioned that Princeton's test is very good. That's why I would have it. Because it's one perspective is what is just too individual for a thing like that. That's why the expenditure video I made, it's like 10 universities. Who watches Casey Neistat?
Everybody.
Right? Yeah. So I saw his vlogs in 2015 when he just started like in April. I made a couple of videos for my projects and stuff. And then I traveled with my family to Bombay and I made a vlog that time. With your sister? Yeah, with my sister. So it was just on my phone. I bought a tripod for 150 rupees. Started shooting it bought a MacBook Air, so there's a movie editing software in that. And it was fun, and like he also pushed that, like he spiraled with that. Oh, this is so interesting that you can do it. And that's how it started. How about you?
So I was messing around with YouTube for a year before that. There's still maybe some embarrassing videos of me. I pulled out most of those, found them, deleted them. But yeah, I used to just like making videos. I used to make videos for other people, whatever I could do. And I remember, I think I mentioned this before, but when I started, like I'm going to UTD, I could not find anything about student life in the US. The only thing that came close was Happy School blog, but that guy graduated like 10 years ago. But still, that was the closest it came to someone actually talking about life of someone in the US. And I was like, okay, I don't want anyone else to go through this process again. Right? I like making videos. I'll document everything I do, and someone might watch that. So I had zero, but I still don't have money, right? Shot on that Moto G and like Windows Movie Maker. Pretty bad quality videos, but people still watch it.
I want a little more budget.
Yeah, you're a little more budget. Still don't have a camera. But for the future, so I was talking to him about this. So I'd mentioned about on the channel about doing the Udemy course, about making more proper videos. The reason behind doing something which is paid is that so far I haven't been able to make anything off the YouTube channel, so that really restricts, like I still cannot afford to buy a camera or do research or travel or like do anything that takes any sort of resource to make videos.
Because we lose a lot. Like if you see, even if you're working part-time, we're losing $10 per hour. We could do one part-time work and we could have paid like our rent and accommodation. But it's just a person's choice to do this and not spending time. Because we are actually losing if we are spending. The last vlog I spent 8 hours on that, $80 straight up gone. I'm not making any money as well. So all I made was like before going to US, that was $150.
Same, So the whole point is you can do any sort of collaboration, sponsored video. Like you watch YouTube, so you know the sponsored videos and things like that, or Udemy or whatever. So while we are in the US, laws are very restricted, but while we're here, we get more flexibility. About 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we do to think out of the box, and ultimately whatever money we are going to make, we have been doing this for losing money for free for 3 years, but whatever we get is to invest back into this. So right now exploring those options, at least personally for me, doing Udemy, trying to do some sponsored work, trying to get that out soon, figure that out, structure it. It's not easy, it takes very long, but the whole point is to make better content for everyone. Because honestly, if we wanted to make money off of YouTube, I would have stopped. Like, you don't go 3 years without making money. If that's
and it's so frustrating as well that you're putting in so much time. And then, like, you have seen the messages Harsh has gotten, I've gotten, like, there are certain people, if we'll not reply, they'll start abusing us. There are certain people who will say, like, who will be so critical about it. And all I have answered is, like, try doing it yourself and then see how hard it is. It's easy to critique somebody sitting behind the screen. But you're not here.
Why don't you use Patreon? Like, have you tried Patreon?
Patreon, YouTube AdSense, sponsorship content, everything is illegal as an F1 student. The reason being, because you're an F1 student, you can only work on campus jobs, and that will pay us what, $10 per hour.
So this frustration will start as, this is just part of being a student. You'll meet companies that will love you, but as soon as they find out you're international, they're like, we cannot hire you.
And there's certain emails we get like regarding sponsorship and stuff, and we have to be very honest to them, and we have to be honest to you guys. It's like easy to get sponsorships. You get emails like, we
1 or 2 emails a week, but it doesn't like they want you to say something which I honestly don't want to say. Then it doesn't. Like I wouldn't take that much time. I'd rather work 10 hours to pay that. I'll start Patreon maybe until like 8th, 9th June.
That's a good idea.
And just raise that money and do that.
Be a student in Purdue and this
It's not a scholarship, it's assistantship. They're not paying you for nothing. They're making you work. And they're actually exploiting you in some terms.
Everywhere.
They're exploiting you in terms that they're not paying you that much. Like they're paying you what, 1,500 stipend, but they're paying you fees. They're paying your fees, right?
Yeah.
But for them, like a resident student will pay $7,000 US, at least for you. So compare them to yourself. They're paying you 7,000 plus 1,500 stipend for the 4 months. Calculate how much per are you making, and then see if they're exploiting you or if they're actually paying you. This is a chartered accountant. She didn't study at any university in the US. She just CA here and then took a test there, I don't know, CPA or something like that. And she is working now. She doesn't make as much as an engineer would do, but she's making some sort of money. But her company is like super flexible as well. So she got looking much more
The only disadvantage doing anything that is non-STEM is your OPD period reduces. And so this is what I've learned. If a company is sponsoring you, they have to justify to the government that we could not find any American citizen who was qualified for this job, and this person was the only qualified person for this job. There are many more Americans in like non-STEM programs than there are in STEM programs. So if demand supply. So even if you find a job, the company to justify, if that's your target, that I want to get a job there in the field of arts, the company to justify you hiring you. I've met people who got disappointed after a year. The company. This even happens in like finance, for example. There's just so many more Americans in that field that justifying hiring an international is something that just gets rejected. So the company won't even try. Non-STEM sector.